Do you have something to confess? Most husbands ask that question hoping to hear the truth. I asked it after spending 11 months proving I already had it. The envelope sat between two dinner plates, sealed, untouched, heavier than the stack of papers inside had any right to feel. My wife, Olivia, smiled across the table, raised her wine glass, and wished us a happy first anniversary. For a second, she looked exactly like the woman I married. Warm eyes, easy confidence, perfect timing. That version of Olivia had survived for an entire year inside photographs, social media posts, and conversations with friends. The version sitting across from me tonight carried a different story, one I spent almost a year assembling piece by piece. My name is Ethan Carter. I'm 36 years old, a financial compliance consultant from Denver. My career revolves around patterns. Fraud leaves patterns. Embezzlement leaves patterns. People leave patterns. Most lies collapse because somebody ignores a detail they assume nobody will notice. 11 months ago, Olivia made that mistake. It happened during breakfast. Her phone lit up. She flipped it over so quickly the motion caught my attention more than the notification itself. A small thing. A meaningless thing. Married people protect privacy all the time. Yet something about the speed of that reaction lodged itself in my head. Later that week, I saw another crack. A calendar alert appeared on our shared home tablet for a lunch meeting. The event disappeared 30 minutes later. 2 weeks after that, a credit card charge surfaced from a restaurant 40 miles away during hours she claimed she was attending a corporate training session. None of those details proved anything. Separately, they looked harmless. Together, they formed the beginning of a trail. I built spreadsheets. I logged dates. I tracked receipts. Every unexplained expense earned a line item. Every changed schedule earned a timestamp. I never confronted her. I preferred evidence over arguments. Evidence stays the same tomorrow. Arguments evolve every hour. By month 4, I discovered a second checking account. By month 6, I found recurring transfers hidden beneath routine household spending. By month 8, I hired a forensic accountant through a professional contact and paid him through a consulting retainer buried inside one of my business projects. The report arrived 31 days later. 23 pages. For highlighted transactions. 3 names. One of those names appeared 6 times. Ryan Brooks. The first time I saw it, I assumed I had found the answer. The following week taught me how little I understood. Because Ryan wasn't a new relationship. Ryan wasn't a coworker. Ryan wasn't somebody who entered our lives after the wedding. Ryan existed before I proposed. Before Olivia said yes. Before she walked down the aisle. That discovery changed the entire equation. Suddenly, I stopped asking whether my wife had hidden something during our marriage. I started asking what she had hidden before it ever began. Across the table, Olivia lifted her glass again and smiled. "You've been acting strange all week," she said. "What's in the envelope?" I looked at her, then slid it halfway across the table. "Open it," I said. Her smile faded the moment she read the first page. Because at the top of that page sat a photograph taken 73 days before our wedding. The first time I noticed the subtle fractures in our marriage, I tracked them with the precision of a forensic audit. Every bank statement, every credit card ledger, every recurring transfer became a line item in a spreadsheet I updated daily. By month 3, I had mapped a network of inconsistencies. A lunch 40 miles from her office during a reported seminar, a hotel charge linked to Ryan Brooks, and 2 recurring subscriptions under obscure business names. I traced the IP addresses, aligned timestamps, and cross-referenced receipts with her calendar, each anomaly revealing the carefully constructed double life Olivia maintained. I calculated probabilities, examined patterns, and even ran simulations to anticipate her next steps. By the time month 6 arrived, I had secured copies of travel itineraries, banking alerts, and encrypted correspondence, all cataloged under code names in my home office. My strategy extended beyond evidence gathering. I engaged a consulting attorney under the guise of reviewing my own investment contracts, feeding them the financial trail to ensure everything could stand up in a legal setting. I monitored her interactions, studied her communication rhythms, noting shifts in tone, pauses, and phrasing that hinted at deception. Psychological pressure mounted in parallel. Olivia started second-guessing minor details, glossing over explanations, and revising her narrative. I documented these behavioral patterns in detail, predicting the stress points where she would falter. Each day sharpened my awareness of the psychological battlefield, the intricate web of lies, and the resources she relied upon. I calculated the influence of potential witnesses, assessed which family members could corroborate or contradict her story, and positioned myself to control disclosures at precisely the moment of confrontation. By month 9, I had assembled a compendium of visual, digital, and transactional proof, each piece reinforcing the next. I had mapped her entire routine, her network of collaborators, and the sequence of events that led to this fragile anniversary dinner. Tonight, as I watched her take a slow sip of wine, the invisible scaffolding of my investigation stood between us. I had all the threads ready to pull, all the accounts reconciled, every behavioral inconsistency recorded and verified. Olivia's smile no longer held its earlier assurance. It wavered at the edges. I let her linger in uncertainty while I opened a secure folder on my laptop and ran a final audit of all compiled data. Everything aligned perfectly. The legal review confirmed enforceability, and the patterns of deceit displayed an unmistakable trajectory. Then I noticed an anomaly I had not anticipated. A hidden account she accessed yesterday, hours before the dinner, with an unfamiliar signature. The screen glowed faintly, and for a fraction of a second, the entire dynamic of control shifted. The envelope between us no longer contained the most critical revelation. It had to wait. The power equation had just tilted, and I realized that this single, unexpected variable could rewrite the entire confrontation. That unfamiliar signature changed the direction of my entire investigation. For 11 months, I believed I was tracking a hidden relationship. Suddenly, I found myself staring at evidence of something larger. I excused myself from the table, carried my laptop into my office, and opened the transaction logs again. The account had appeared less than 24 hours earlier. Olivia accessed it through a private browser session, routed traffic through a commercial privacy service, and transferred $12,800 into a limited liability company registered in Wyoming. Most people would have stopped there. I spent my career following financial trails through layers designed to discourage curiosity. The company registration pointed toward a commercial mailbox. The mailbox pointed toward a legal filing service. The filing service pointed toward another entity. By midnight, I had mapped 3 shell companies connected through overlapping documentation. Then I found Ryan Brooks again. His name never appeared directly. His sister's name did. Her signature sat on 2 formation documents filed 8 months before Olivia and I exchanged vows. My stomach tightened. Looking back, that moment mattered more than every hotel receipt, every suspicious calendar entry, every unexplained expense. Affairs create emotional damage. Financial deception creates strategy. Strategy requires planning. Planning requires time. I pulled archived records and expanded the timeline. The pattern stretched backward. 9 months before our wedding. 11 months before our wedding. 14 months before our wedding. Every layer revealed another connection between Olivia and the network surrounding Ryan. The relationship I thought began after our marriage suddenly looked like a partnership that existed long before she walked down the aisle. I started asking a different question. Why marry me at all? The answer arrived through tax records. Olivia earned a solid income. Ryan did not. Several business ventures linked to his family generated losses year after year. Meanwhile, my consulting firm experienced rapid growth. Revenue doubled. Investment accounts expanded. Property holdings increased. A prenuptial agreement protected major assets, but marriage still provided access, credibility, and future leverage. I hated the direction my thoughts were taking. Paranoia destroys judgment. Evidence restores it. So I kept digging. 3 days later, my attorney arranged a confidential asset review. We examined every document connected to our marriage. Beneficiary forms, insurance policies, retirement accounts, real estate filings. During that review, a single detail triggered immediate concern. 6 weeks earlier, Olivia had requested information about a trust structure she had never mentioned to me. She never completed the process, but somebody had clearly advised her on the exact questions to ask. Somebody familiar with asset protection. Somebody familiar with divorce planning. Somebody who understood timing. Back at the anniversary dinner, Olivia continued reading the documents inside the envelope. Her hands moved slower now. Her breathing changed. The confidence she carried into the evening had started to crack. Then she reached the final page. Her eyes froze on a date. I knew that date well. It marked the first transfer into the Wyoming company, 73 days before our wedding. Olivia looked up at me. For the first time all evening, she seemed unsure of what I knew. Then her phone lit up beside her plate. One message. One sender. Ryan Brooks. The message arrived at exactly the wrong moment for Olivia and exactly the right moment for me. Her eyes dropped to the screen. The color drained from her face. She reached for the phone instinctively, then stopped halfway, suddenly aware that every movement carried meaning. I had spent months studying those reactions. Fear leaves patterns, just like financial fraud. Guilt leaves timing discrepancies. Panic creates hesitation. This hesitation lasted less than 2 seconds, yet it confirmed more than any spreadsheet ever could. You should read it, I said calmly. Olivia looked up. Excuse me. The message. Read it. Her jaw tightened. She flipped the phone over instead. That decision told me everything. People hide information when exposure creates risk. They hide urgency when urgency connects to a larger secret. Ryan had chosen this exact moment to contact her. That meant he either knew about tonight or he had stumbled into a problem of his own. Both possibilities interested me. I opened my laptop and turned the screen toward her. While you decide, I said, let me show you something else. A timeline appeared across the display. Dates, transactions, corporate filings, property searches, communication records. Every event connected through documented evidence. I watched her eyes move from left to right. The confidence she carried into dinner had vanished completely now. You hired someone to investigate me? She asked. I verified information. For almost a year? 11 months. She stared at me as if the number itself offended her. That reaction almost made me laugh. 11 months of investigation sounded extreme until compared against 14 months of concealed planning. I clicked another file. A flowchart appeared. The Wyoming company connected to a consulting firm in Nevada. The consulting firm connected to an investment partnership in Arizona. The partnership connected to a trust account. Every arrow ended with one name. Ryan Brooks. You think this proves something? Olivia asked. Her voice sounded stronger now. She was searching for ground to stand on. People do that when escape routes disappear. I think it proves structure, I replied. Structure reveals intent. Then I opened the document that changed everything. Unlike the previous evidence, this file came from a source neither Olivia nor Ryan expected me to reach. 3 weeks earlier, my attorney hired a forensic records specialist. The specialist focused on corporate archives, abandoned filings, and registration histories. Most people search current records. He searched deleted ones. Buried inside an archived filing sat an early draft of the Wyoming company registration. The final version listed Ryan's sister. The draft version listed somebody else. Olivia. Her full legal name. Her personal email address. Her electronic signature. Her expression collapsed the second she recognized the document. For months, I believed Ryan operated in the background while Olivia participated from a distance. That file destroyed the theory. Olivia had helped build the structure from the beginning. She was not a passenger. She was a founder. Then her phone vibrated again. Another message from Ryan. This time, part of the preview appeared on the lock screen. I only caught 7 words before the notification disappeared. 7 words were enough. He knows about the account, Ryan wrote. And he found the transfer. I leaned back slightly and observed Olivia's hesitation, the slightest twitch at the corner of her mouth signaling awareness that control was shifting. 11 months of tracking, auditing, and verifying every movement converged into this moment. I brought up my secure spreadsheet on the laptop, linking all known transactions, hidden accounts, and timestamped communications. Each line item demonstrated a sequence she could not argue against. I highlighted the connections between the Wyoming company, Ryan Brooks, and her direct involvement in earlier drafts and filings. Every behavioral cue she had displayed over the past year matched the documented pattern. Olivia's hand hovered above her glass, trembling just enough for me to note. I adjusted the laptop to display the audit trail, showing the integration of corporate records with the financial flow. Every entry aligned with previously collected evidence. Private consultations, shell company formations, and transfers into accounts concealed from public records. I explained calmly the implications, legal exposure, potential asset tracing, and how these financial and corporate structures indicated premeditation. She swallowed hard, scanning each line. I could see her calculating whether this was a bluff or a full exposure. Each moment I let linger amplified the psychological pressure. Olivia had created a network designed to protect herself and Ryan while maintaining an appearance of innocence. Her strategy had relied on timing, misdirection, and my presumed ignorance. I paused to allow the weight of the evidence to settle. I knew the psychological impact was cumulative, months of perceived normalcy shattered by a single, detailed audit connecting all points. Then I opened another folder. Communications between her and the attorney she had consulted without disclosure. The messages outlined strategies for protecting personal assets, adjusting account structures, and timing disclosures to minimize scrutiny. The precision of these communications revealed planning beyond spontaneous decisions. Olivia's composure faltered further as I pointed to specific entries linking her directly to early formation documents and financial maneuvers. She blinked rapidly, and for the first time, I noticed her eyes scanning the room as if seeking escape, knowing there was none. I reminded her of the trust structure reviewed by my attorney, and how it left her actions exposed legally and financially. Every calculated step she had taken could now be traced, documented, and presented in court if necessary. The balance of power shifted entirely. She understood that this was no longer speculation or conjecture. I leaned closer, letting the subtle authority of preparation and evidence dominate the interaction. The phone vibrated again, a new notification from Ryan. The preview words on the lock screen were brief, urgent, and damning. He knows everything, and he traced the transfers. Olivia's eyes widened as recognition and panic intersected. I remained still, the calm of observation counterbalancing the storm I had orchestrated. Every verified detail, every audit trail, every behavioral note I collected had led to this moment where control, insight, and preparation converged. The final realization hit her simultaneously with the message. Our private investigation and audit left no room for improvisation or misdirection. In that instant, a single misstep from either of them could unravel the intricate network they had relied upon for months, exposing the entire strategy one had meticulously documented and monitored. The moment Ryan's message appeared, I realized something important. He was reacting, which meant he had lost visibility. For months, somebody on their side had monitored the situation. They had moved money, adjusted records, and coordinated decisions with confidence. That confidence was gone. Olivia stared at the phone for several seconds before locking the screen. She understood the same thing. Ryan had become nervous. Nervous people make mistakes. Careful people follow plans. Fear destroys plans. I reached into my briefcase and removed a thin folder she had never seen before. Her eyes followed it immediately. Every document I had shown her so far came from public records, transaction histories, or archive filings. This folder was different. It came from discovery work my attorney completed only 4 days earlier. "What is that?" she asked quietly. "The reason Ryan is worried." I opened the folder and slid the first page across the table. It was a contract. Olivia recognized it instantly. Her expression changed before she even finished reading the first paragraph. I had seen that reaction before during financial investigations. Recognition arrives first. Panic arrives second. The contract outlined a consulting agreement between Ryan's sister and the Wyoming company. On the surface, it looked ordinary. Then came the payment schedule. Every transfer matched the dates from my audit logs. Every amount matched the hidden account activity. Every signature aligned perfectly. Olivia turned another page. Then another. Then another. Her breathing grew shallower. "Where did you get this?" she asked. I ignored the question. The source mattered less than the content. The final page revealed something neither of them expected me to uncover. The consulting agreement referenced an attached memorandum. That memorandum described future capital contributions expected after marriage. Future capital contributions. 3 words. 3 devastating words. My attorney nearly called me immediately after reading them, because the language transformed the entire situation. This was no longer a collection of suspicious transactions. It became evidence of planning tied directly to anticipated marital assets. Olivia closed the folder. Her hands rested on top of it, as though pressure alone could force the documents back into secrecy. "You are making assumptions," she said. Her voice sounded weaker now. "Actually, I replied. I spent 11 months eliminating assumptions. Then I opened my laptop again and displayed the final audit report. The report contained a reconstruction of every dollar that moved through the network. Incoming transfers, outgoing transfers, corporate expenses, registration fees, legal retainers, everything. The analysis covered 14 months. The timeline began 3 months before our engagement. That detail landed harder than anything else. She had expected me to focus on the marriage. My investigation had expanded further back. Much further. I watched her realize it in real time. Ryan was never the discovery. The business structure was never the discovery. The discovery was motive. Every layer pointed toward the same conclusion. Something began before I bought the ring. Something continued through the engagement. Something survived the wedding. Then Olivia said something that surprised me. She looked directly at me and asked, "How much do you actually know?" I held her gaze for several seconds before answering. Enough to know Ryan is not the person who started this. Her eyes widened instantly. And for the first time all night, I knew I had reached the secret she feared most. I returned to the dining table with the calm precision of someone who had rehearsed every movement. The envelope remained unopened, but its presence was a silent assertion of authority. I slid the laptop closer and displayed the compiled audit report. The screen illuminated patterns she could no longer deny. Transactions spanning multiple states, accounts obscured under corporate entities, correspondence indicating premeditated financial maneuvers. Olivia leaned forward, her fingers tracing the lines of the spreadsheet as if physical contact could absorb the evidence. I observed her strategy shift in real time, every instinct for deflection countered by the visibility of the proof. "Do you see the sequence?" I asked. She nodded slowly, unwilling to articulate the admission. I moved to the next layer, displaying time-stamped communications between her and the consulting attorney she engaged without disclosure. The messages revealed precise instructions for asset positioning, clarifying that the Wyoming company and affiliated shell entities were not random choices, but deliberate constructions designed to maximize control and minimize traceability. Her eyes darted between the laptop and the folder I placed beside her. Each glance confirmed awareness. Each awareness reinforced the collapse of perceived security. I executed a final visual comparison. Archived corporate filings aligned against transaction histories and communication logs. Every element confirming coordination that preceded the marriage by months. Olivia inhaled sharply. I noted micro-expressions of regret, anticipation, and panic. "This extends before we were wed," I said calmly. She exhaled slowly, trying to reclaim composure. Her mind worked rapidly, calculating potential leverage, recalling legal precedents, and assessing how much of the structure I could prove in a legal context. I highlighted the trust structures previously reviewed, juxtaposed against her own drafts and digital signatures, emphasizing how timing and execution of financial movements matched strategies she had researched, prepared, and applied. Her hand hovered over the table, moving unconsciously as if to erase the evidence. I refrained from commenting, letting the silence amplify the psychological weight. She opened her mouth, closed it again. The room became a chamber of anticipation, the envelope, laptop, and folder forming the nexus of power. Then I displayed the final matrix, integrating all components: financial, legal, behavioral. Every action she had taken correlated to a timeline I had reconstructed and verified. Olivia's eyes widened further, pupils fixed, reflecting the cumulative force of exposure. The final notification on her phone flashed, a message from Ryan Brooks. The preview displayed only the beginning of a sentence, yet the implication was unmistakable. Ryan realized his position had shifted. Olivia realized her decisions were now transparent. Both recognized that the previously concealed control I had established now dictated the terms. I watched as comprehension dawned fully. The dynamic between them, which had sustained months of secrecy, tension, and planning, had inverted. In that instant, the entire psychological battlefield had been restructured in my favor, and a single variable, an unexpected detail, in Ryan's message, threatened to redefine the next move before any word was spoken. Olivia hesitated, her eyes darting between the envelope, the laptop, and me. The weight of months of investigation hung between us like an invisible barrier. I leaned forward, keeping my voice measured, letting each word carry the precision of documentation, the authority of compiled evidence. All of this, I said, indicating the audit, the corporate filings, the transaction histories and communications, points to planning, execution, and concealment that started well before we were married. Her breathing became shallow, her mind racing to identify escape routes or mitigating explanations. I displayed the final timeline, aligning bank records with corporate registrations and attorney consultations, showing how each layer of action connected logically, predictably, and irreversibly. Every step you took was calculated, I continued. Every move anticipated, and every action documented. Her fingers twitched over the envelope, then withdrew. She realized that even if she revealed the information herself, the evidence already confirmed it. I watched her strategize, weighing options, recalculating risk, and attempting to determine what leverage, if any, remained. My attention shifted to her microexpressions, pupils dilating, jaw tightening, a fleeting tremor in her hands. Those tiny signals revealed more than words could convey. I then opened the folder containing communications between Olivia and Ryan's sister, highlighting instructions regarding asset positioning and timing of account activity. Every recommendation, every inquiry, every adjustment was laid bare. Olivia's eyes tracked the movement of my cursor as I connected the dots, revealing her direct involvement in creating the structure she believed shielded them both. I emphasized how each document and transaction fit within the broader legal framework we had prepared. The trust structures, prenuptial details, and corporate filings left no ambiguity regarding intent or oversight. Olivia attempted a verbal counter, framing her actions as hypothetical or exploratory, but I stayed silent, letting the visuals carry the argument. Then I displayed the last piece, a cross-referenced audit connecting all corporate entities, financial movements, and digital communications with timestamp accuracy. Every dot linked, every pattern matched, every plan exposed. Her gaze fixed on the screen, comprehension dawning fully as she realized the extent of the documentation and its legal viability. The balance of power had shifted decisively. Then a final notification appeared on her phone. A new message from Ryan Brooks. Even before she opened it, the preview was visible, 7 words flashing briefly, revealing knowledge that he recognized the exposure, confirming our position. Olivia's eyes widened, and the realization hit her simultaneously with the notification. The network they relied on for secrecy had been fully dismantled. I leaned back, maintaining control, observing the subtle collapse of confidence and the emergence of panic. The psychological battlefield had tilted entirely in my favor, and yet one variable remained unresolved. A final unknown that threatened to alter the closing move in ways neither of them could predict. The final realization settled between us with the precision of a closing audit. Olivia's defenses had eroded, every calculation, every misstep, every attempt at concealment revealed by the months of meticulous tracking. I watched as comprehension dawned fully in her eyes, the tension of prior months condensed into the space of one breath. I closed the laptop deliberately, slid the folder back into my briefcase, and allowed silence to dominate the table, each second stretching the psychological weight until her gaze met mine, searching for justification, escape, or a mitigating argument that no longer existed. I summarized the timeline in a few measured sentences, connecting each corporate entity, hidden account, and legal structure with precise dates, amounts, and signatures, revealing the orchestration from inception through engagement and beyond into the weeks leading to our wedding. Olivia exhaled, a soft surrender of composure, acknowledging that every pathway of deception had been mapped, every contingency anticipated. I placed the envelope gently on the table, letting its presence underscore that control and knowledge existed independently of confrontation, that evidence and strategy dictated the flow, not anger or words. I explained the implications: legal exposure for actions taken pre-marriage, financial accountability for transfers and shell company arrangements, and the unavoidable consequence of transparency now that all records were reconciled and verifiable. She absorbed the information, each pause, each shift in posture a micro-expression of recognition, fear, and inevitability. I observed patterns of decision-making in real time: reconsideration, recalibration, mental cross-referencing of events against documented proof. The dynamics of power, previously hidden, now rested fully in my hands. I emphasized that premeditation had been exposed, the intent behind each move made tangible, and the execution laid bare for scrutiny. Then I stood, walking deliberately to the sideboard, picking up the keys to our car, and without a word, sliding them across the table toward her. The gesture carried authority without demand, implication without confrontation. Olivia looked down at the keys, then back at me, her eyes reflecting the acknowledgement that control, influence, and insight were no longer shared but singularly held. She nodded, a subtle surrender, then glanced at the envelope once more, the weight of months of secrecy now pressing upon her with clarity. I left the room slowly, leaving the documents, keys, and compiled evidence behind, the culmination of strategy, diligence, and observation intact. The message was clear: knowledge is power, patience is leverage, and when the truth is fully understood, the consequences are immediate and irreversible. In the quiet left behind, the final insight crystallized. The most dangerous position is not